Hello, students. Today we're going to talk about contracts. We're going to continue our discussion on contracts. As stated previously, SUNY Orange has made the decision because of the Chinese coronavirus to not have in-person class time. So I will continue to create these videos once or twice a week. In regards to our discussion on contracts, I never learned anything about contracts when I was in school, so I learned everything the hard way when I started working in comics and in animation and how contracts work. So if you want to have a career in art, it's very important to be a smart business person and to understand contracts. And there's also a lot of guys in comics that just don't want to even talk about contracts. So it's all very weird. But today, I want to discuss how when Universal Studios wanted to use some of my artwork and characters on a episode of Law and Order: Criminal Intent. So the idea was that the studio was going to film a scene that's supposed to take place in an animation studio. So in New York, they rented out an office, but it wasn't an animation studio. So the filmmakers wanted to make the office look like an animation studio. So the producers contacted me. They wanted to use some of my artwork and characters as props in the episode to make it look like not an office, but an animation studio. So I mailed them like 8 JPEGs of some of my work. It was all creator-owned work. It was my own characters. It was my own work. It wasn't anything I had done for work made for hire. The producers liked the artwork. They wanted to purchase all the artwork to use in that scene. And they then emailed me their contract. Unfortunately, and the contract was kind of simple, but unfortunately the contract did not state that I own my characters and artwork. So I talked to the producer and I was like, hey, can we get this extra clause in there? Because all contracts are negotiable, and that's the point of this actual conversation. And the producer kind of had a hissy fit and was saying that, this is our standard contract. We'll have it sent to our attorneys and see what they can do, and we'll get back to you, kind of thing. So 20 minutes later, I got an email with the revised contract and that extra clause in there, which I requested, which states Al Nickerson retains all ownership, copyright, and trademark of the material. So the screenshots you're seeing now are from that episode of Law and Order: Criminal Intent. It was called Self-Made. It was season 7, episode 7. I added little arrows, little red arrows in the graphics just to show where my artwork was located in those screenshots. So yeah, everything worked out fine. I had heard when they were putting together and printing out the artwork on these huge foam core boards that all the artwork looked great when they were printing everything out. And I was like, hey, I called them up and I asked if they can actually mail those props, the foam core artwork of my work, mail them to me at their cost. And they're like, sure, we can do that. Just let us know. Call us after the episode airs and we'll mail everything off to you. And I was like, great. So after the episode aired, I called up the producers of the show and I said, hey, can you mail me those props of my artwork that you used in that scene? And they're like, oh, well, we don't have them anymore. They were in a storage unit and they're all gone. So, yeah, I should have gotten that in writing. So, a lesson learned. And I imagine now, like, the producers or whomever worked on the show, probably in their living room or dining room or whatever in Brooklyn or Manhattan, they have my artwork hanging on the walls of their home. So, yes, it's a lesson learned. But other than that, everything was fine. I didn't have to create any new artwork. It was a good chunk of change for just not creating anything new. But the point being, as always, all contracts are negotiable. And this worked out fine. So, yeah, that was great. Next week, I'll have a video for you about lettering. We had discussed lettering in class. And I'll probably go over that a little bit more. Again, I want to see your 4-page pencils of the 4-page comic book story before you do any hand lettered lettering. And if you are using the Ames lettering guide, make sure you have that setting at 5, not that 3.5 that's on that handout. And I think that's it. So, yeah, make sure I see your pencils before you go ahead and do any hand lettering. And again, as I stated previously, if you want to use digital lettering, I'm giving you that option to do that. Yep, I guess that's it for now. So, thank you. Grace and peace. Later.